And we're on.
Welcome back to the Doc Day Drinking During the Day. Actually, we're not day drinking,
really.
We're just doing it during the day. Podcast from sunny but cold Tasmania.
14 degrees outside.
Fire on already.
So I'm a bit zoned out today. We'll see how I go. I have not had enough sleep, considering the amount of exercise I've done this week. As I continue to waste away. I'm now a helium light, 101 kilos.
That's what you said this morning.
So a little bit under. So
I'm not.
No, you're not less than half of that.
No, I'll never be less
So on
than
the
half
plus
of
side, I am now less than twice your weight. That's a start.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. Whereas previously, there's definitely been cases where I have been twice your weight.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's the diet update. I think we started this podcast banging on about diets because that was about. I was still on it, but I was only just started. No, clearly.
I've told you this. If your pants don't fit, then
buy bigger pants.
No. But I don't weigh myself and all that shit. Can't be asked. Who's got time for that?
I, however, need to. As I said, I will go down another at least 6 kilos, get under 95, but probably go down to about. I'm aiming to be about a 90 and jacked.
We'll see.
We will see. Yes.
And my equation is obviously imbalanced because I hover around the same place for most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
But you eat like a horse usually.
I do.
But
I don't curb what I eat at all.
No. So at some point.
At all. I'm currently drinking some kind of weird fake coffee thing because
I'm drinking soda water and I have tea waiting, so I think I'll be double parked, but sadly with not booze. So, we'll do this again on Sunday when I'll be properly boozed. I still don't know how this works.
Put that down, and put that down on the
Right.
That's its holder. Oh God! Except you haven't done it properly, so now you've wet the table. He's peed on the table.
No, well, I'm the doctor. Anyway,
Anywho.
So we're getting there. So today, yes,
we'll start with what we did today.
What did you do?
I had a really slow start this morning, and then had to put the generator on to do. I had a shit ton of washing up that I hadn't done.
Which reminds me, tonight that
in the dishwasher.
I must spec out an order to double the
solar panels.
So yes, we remind everybody that we're 100% off grid.
I'll say off grid wise, yeah. So normally I wouldn't have to turn the generator on, but I'd already packed the dishwasher and it stunk because I'd forgotten about it for a couple of days.
Well,
so I wasn't pulling it back out to wash it.
Share it with everybody.
Very
this
gross.
is why I've tried to explain to her the many benefits of sister wives who can also pitch in with the.
But I don't like people.
Yeah, you don't have to like them. You, as first wife, you get to boss them around a bit.
I don't like managing people. Is what I'm trying to say. If they are sister wives or not, I don't.
It's
care.
I'm not going to manage them.
Great.
I said, well, we're building a compound,
No. So anyway.
All right. I dream. I want one that can, I want a little Asian one that can really cook, and then you can keep them on as a domestic as well, and then
just hire staff.
Yeah, but you can't sleep with them.
Oh, gee. You're too fucking lazy anyway for that. Jesus Christ. You bang on about it. Anywho.
I've had my moments in the past.
You've had your moments. Then I went into town. And I had a very productive time in town.
Obnoxious addition to all of that. Yes,
yeah, I'm just
please
ignore you like I normally do.
Yes, you should ignore me. Yeah. I've heard it all before. Yeah.
Very expensive.
That's all right. I'll convince you eventually.
No. So I had a very, productive, actually ticked a few things off. Mostly errands and crap. But, went to a op shopping and got myself a new pair of pants. Because I went into town...
Fascinating content.
Shut up. As I realised yesterday that the pair of jeans that I had on was basically missing the crutch. Then I was out in town with them on.
With your minge hanging out. Right.
So I've sorted that out. They're in the pile of do not wear. And then I was telling you about having to go to the bloody... I had to drop off some shit at a pathology lab and had to put
some shit.
Oh, no, sorry. No, not actually,
like
yes.
Just conversationally. I just had to dump off a turd and everything.
No, I didn't. It wasn't a pee sample and it wasn't a poop sample. I've got a bit of a manky toe, so...
Fungus. Dropping off.
Weird going on. Toenail clippings. Riveting. Sorry, grossing you out.
But yes.
But I had to put a mask on because of the ridiculousness, and then as I'm standing in there with the pathologist, having to write something down, and I'm holding the mask on my face, and then I said, can I take this stupid thing off? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. So I was like, what's the point? It was all just paper.
Somebody's
but there were signs everywhere.
Yeah. Whoever's in charge is one of the people with the mind virus. Because that's what it is. That's what we are.
Because I didn't have one either. So I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, can I not go on the door? Like, I literally just need to go.
When you open the door and just say, I have something to drop off. I don't have a mask.
Yeah. So.
It is literally... I'm not quite there, but given another 3 to 6 months when it's just utterly beyond the pale in terms of especially those ridiculous surgical masks, the cloth masks, it's like they don't do jack shit. If you're wearing one of those K95N bloody duck masks that cover your whole head, yeah.
And I don't have a problem with people those on because I'm assuming that those people are immunocompromised.
Well, if they're wearing a surgical mask, if they're wearing like a duck, what I call duck mask,
the duck bill ones,
fine. But if you're wearing a surgical mask, you're psychologically compromised.
You're retarded.
Yeah, like there's.
Yeah, but I've seen plenty of oldies wearing the N95 duck thingy ones, and I just assume that you've got some kind of illness going on. I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah, fine, I would be wearing one too if I had whatever the fuck's going on with you. So, but again, you've got to do something.
I wouldn't be there, as I said.
Which takes me on to the article that I was reading. Sorry, what did you do today? I'll come back to that.
Fuck you.
It's all about me.
It's all about you. No, mostly I was helping a friend wire and plumb his cottage. So I was cottaging today.
No, you weren't. I've accused a Hobart City Councillor of that.
Yes. So anyway... anyway, so no, as you can tell, I'm not really with it today. But, so anyway, so I did that. But didn't have enough sleep and far too much exercise, so I'm just a bit spaced out. So I'm going to do this and then tidy up a bit of the job that I did yesterday, because we did tiling yesterday, which I fucking hate. But
we wouldn't have known.
I mean, completely every so often, I fucking hate doing this.
Every 3 minutes.
So anyway, it's nearly done, and that's it.
I'm trying to find the article I was reading. It's gone, but...
Because I'm not going to build any more houses in this lifetime, I don't think. I keep saying that, but...
You'll build structures, but not houses.
Well, I'm not going to build... Any other stuff I'm going to do, really, is going to be like...
there it is.
Log cabins and stuff like that. And
barns.
Rustic stuff, where it's going to be a lot more modular and a lot more basic. Like, I'm not... Because I keep threatening with you, in 20 years' time, I wouldn't mind if we did build another house here to replace this one. I'm paying someone. Like, I'm not going to do it. Famous last words, but you know. Yes. Anyway, so that was it. So, what do you want to talk about? Death and dismemberment.
Well, as I said, I was reading the article, which I haven't finished reading yet, about the 5 Tasmanians who have died through accessing voluntary assisted dying laws.
So,
and this first man,
suicide.
Again, the choice of language. Like, that's why.
Why? Because you think they're avoiding the word suicide isn't in there. I don't mind. Like, if you want to murder yourself,
it's not knock yourself up. It's not. It is, but it's not. Like, I don't agree with the word suicide either.
No, really.
No.
That would be the closest definition. Well, that being said,
maybe.
Is it? Well, back in the original, it was assisted suicide.
Yeah.
Because
assisted dying, that's fine.
Yeah. Or assisted suicide. I don't mind that. Because at the end of the day, with this one, this isn't Jack Kevorkian where you had to be the one to actually
press the button.
I mean, but it depends on how they do it. Do you know how they do it?
I'm just looking here. I'm scrolling down. So this man had motor neuron disease. So
yes, which is not the way you want to go.
Horrible.
Yeah. So that would be.
And the headline was that Phil Lang is one of the 5 Tasmanians who have died through accessing voluntary assisted dying.
Well, it's not voluntary. It's also funny. You look at it. It's like you're going. Well, one, you're definitely going to die, and it's like.
Yeah. I mean.
Would you say it's voluntarily accelerated dying?
Good. I just clicked back because I'm like, that wasn't the headline that got me to click on it. The headline that got me to click on it on ABC News is Phil spent his last day on Earth drinking champagne with his closest family and friends. Hallelujah. Well done him.
What champagne? That's what I'd like to know.
I hope he got the good stuff.
I hope he got the good stuff too.
Well, that's a red. They're all glasses of red wine for everyone else, so he must have been having champagne. Anyway, so they're talking about the actual. At least 5 Tasmanians have been through the thing.
They probably use Nembutal.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way. And you've seen that before. Like, that's pretty straightforward. You take an antiemetic so you don't throw up, and then you drink Nembutal.
Yeah, we watched the...
And then...
who was the author, the writer?
Yeah, who's dead now, Terry Pratchett.
Yes, so he filmed it.
His investigation, and in the end, he didn't. As I understand, I don't think he died. I think he died of fairly natural causes. So he had an early onset dementia to memory. I'll leave it as an exercise to reader to check it out. Yeah, who knows? Back in the good old days, like with the with when Jack Kevorkian was doing it, you remember that guy, the American guy that was running around? He was a proponent of assisted suicide back in the 90s, late 80s, where he'd made up a little machine which was much more akin to how executions were done in the States.
In the prison system.
Yeah, where you'd have, and again, take this all with a grain of salt. This is old.
Two things together.
Yeah, you'd basically have you'd have an antihistamine that would go first so you don't have a reaction. Then you'd have a barbiturate, which would knock you out. And then you had something to stop your heart. So there's a bunch of different chemicals that you can use that'll knock your heart out. And which I can't remember any of them right now. As I said, I'm tired. And also wrong kind of doctor. But yeah. And they'd be administered one after the other. I mean, Nembutal's so much easier. It's just what you kill bloody dogs with. It's the
green dream.
Green dream, basically. It's just it stops respiration.
So there are strict.
And it's also a massive. And it's also, I think. Am I getting confused? Green dream was definitely barbiturates. That was a barbiturate overdose. Nembutal stops respiration, but so does barbiturate. I think it is just barbiturate. Again. What's the classic thing? Do your own research.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it is a barbiturate.
So anyway,
why don't I look while you're doing that? We'll look that up. So anything interesting of that? There's just a few of them that have done it so far.
Just a few of them. There's obviously a very thorough process. They mentioned that a couple of times that people have to go through. There's prerequisites that you have to meet, and they had a very positive experience.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Nembutal is pentobarbital. Yeah, it's a short-acting barbiturate. So anyway, you look up Nembutal on Google. Help is available. Speak with someone today. Yeah.
How ridiculous. Yeah. And there's apparently 23 medical practitioners who've completed this training, and 16 indicated they were willing to be primary medical practitioners or consulting, blah, 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 blah. Nurses have also done it, registered nurses, and they had a nurse for this man. They said it was really good.
Yeah, well, again, if it...
Positive experience, yeah. Well, I'm saying that, not them. The quote...
You know me, I'm always gallows humour. It's not that positive at the end. It's not like anyone died. Oh, hang on a sec. It was
beautiful and such a nice way to go. We had an amazing nurse.
Oh, God.
So that's good. Well, it could have been worse. It could have been shit. It all went wrong.
It all went wrong. He started bleeding out his eyes. He's screaming. He's just there, twitching. Yeah. But that's the thing. Yes, sorry. Our thoughts and all best wishes to his family and blah-de-blah-de-blah. But... yeah, but I still don't. Again, I found that all pretty straightforward. I don't think they screw it up very often. I think it, where all these other ways which they when the yeah.
And
but anyway, it seems to be a good way of doing it.
From the actual man himself, Mr. Lang. Someone said, I think might have been one of his family members before this, are you afraid of dying? He said, I'm more afraid of keeping going and suffering.
Oh, with ALS, assuming it's ALS or any of those, like Lou Gehrig's or something like that, you do not want that. And if you want
to... Horrible way to go.
Oh, unbelievable. You drown. You are waterboarded. So if anyone wants to try it out, it's you're 24/7 waterboarded for weeks or months. Before you die. Like, it's horrible. You drown in your own fluids.
Yeah.
You do not want that. So like that's one of the few ones that if I ended up with that, you go, well, because even though I'll be like, I really don't want to die, I've got more interesting things to do than take a dirt nap.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
can't do it.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Like,
that sucks.
You can't do that.
Got to pick when you go, because he's in like the picture of him, he's in a chair, like he's already affected, obviously.
And the difficulty with it all is that it still has to be, well, again, I'm not sure on the laws here, but, you still, as I understand it, you still have to administer the drugs yourself.
Oh, right. I'm not sure. It doesn't say anything about that. It's just purely...
I don't think they're not...
Oh, no, the nurse.
Yeah, no, nurse is making sure the dosage is right and overseeing it and make sure you're not skipping any steps. And but again, I'm talking out of my ass because I don't know how they're doing, but I'm assuming Nembutal.
It's only been first 4 months of legalisation.
But
no, they said something here about condition must be expected to cause your death within 6 or 12 months, depending on the illness. So it's right down to the crux of it.
Yeah. That was the old. That was the...
Those who have completed the training, they're talking about medical practitioners or nurses, are under no obligation to be further involved in the assisted dying process, with it being their choice on every occasion.
Yeah, whatever. Well, that's why I'm saying from the point of view that it would be the person administering their own death, so at the end of it they're saying, I certainly facilitated it, but I didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Just like, for a whole bunch of reasons, just like even still, even the firing squads all have a couple of blanks in there, so there's always
nobody really knows.
So there's always a bit of I mightn't have done it.
So anywho,
hopefully they're not statistics majors.
Anywho, so that was all I was reading about, Tassie wise. Oh, and the only other thing which made me laugh out loud today,
apart from his death, I
did not laugh out loud. I cheered him on. Because I would fucking do that as well. Jesus Christ. For a whole host of diseases. No thank you.
Lumbago. Indigestion.
Were you... Excuse me. Rude individual. You talk about what you're going to do. Have Chinese... all the good drugs.
I'm going out. Heroin hookers.
Yep.
Well, not heroin. Well, heroin would do the job. But,
good stuff.
I'm just going to treat myself shockingly. Like,
it's like,
if I had a terminal illness, it'd be right. These are all the places I wish to go. These are all the things I wish to eat. Ladies, we're going to need a huge cash adjustment, but this is what I need you to do for me. And then right at the end, it's like, all right, pick the way of going. Again, Nembutal.
My nose is running.
Smack, one or the other. When you were saying about the other one, with like saying it was a great experience and all the rest of it, I think of Stanhope's bit when he talks about his mother.
That's hilarious.
When they put his mother down.
They found a cure.
Yeah, he's like, Ma, they found a cure, and she's like, she's coming in and out. If you haven't seen it, look up Doug Stanhope's mother death story, which is really, really.
He didn't tell it for a certain time.
Yeah, well, he had to wait.
Statute of limitations, I think.
Because he did
some naughty things.
Him and his girlfriend
after her death.
assisted suicide and ran up all the credit cards.
Took advantage of knowing that she's definitely dead. But the other thing that made me laugh was I got an email and I can't find it. I think I've already put it in the bin. But I don't know sorry, skipping back. I don't know what I'd have for what I'd want for my last meal and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, mine. There's going to be a lot of Asian food and a lot of dodgy KFC.
Right. So this is what made me laugh out loud today. I got an email from Seek, which I think I was looking on the other day just for shits and giggles at what jobs are going on in Tasmania that I wouldn't want. I think I looked at it when I was talking about how low the salaries are here for full-time positions.
So
now I'm on a list.
Yep.
Shiley, did you know you could be fired for these 8 things?
No, really?
And I went, that's an interesting subject line. Who decided on that one?
Wanking in the lunchroom.
8 things you didn't know you could be fired for.
Embezzlement.
I clicked on it, clearly, because I'm like, tell me something I don't know. But it was all, right. Risk to the business.
Duh.
Causing
what's that?
Causing damage
this
to a business
podcast?
might seem like an obvious reason for dismissal, but creating a risk of damage can also be a reason for. It's a rare one though. It's all to do with the definition of serious misconduct.
This isn't Australia.
This is Australia. Failing to comply with your organisation's policies.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Lineker comes to mind right now. Have you seen that? The big BBC blow up.
Yeah, it didn't. Have you seen the thing where it's like delete your tweets?
No.
Well,
find that.
I'll find that while you're doing that. So yes, continue with
using insulting language, and I'm like, what's insulting?
Fuck off.
Bad or insulting language?
Bad.
Yeah,
Wrong
what's bad language? But does that
think.
just mean swearing? Is that what they're trying to
misgendering?
say? Oh God. And there's sharing or shouting abuse, even out of frustration, can hurt people's feelings and lead to dismissal.
Motherfucker!
Divulging information about the business, no shit. Dishonesty, no shit. Receiving gifts, yeah. Lying on your job application,
Who hasn't?
Dress code violations.
But you can turn up as a man if you're a woman, or a woman as a man.
And some of the people's, I think they got a chat. They chatted to a couple of people at my last job because we had. Well, again, it was corporate. Was there a dress? I'm sure there was a dress code, but yes, on Fridays during summer, a couple of girls
showing their minges,
showing everything,
just tits out.
Like, you don't have enough clothes on to be here.
Oh, really?
You need to go and find some other clothes. Yeah, like midriff tops and mini skirts and thongs.
Well, let me tell it.
In a corporate office, in a bank.
Thongs.
Yeah, thongs.
Like their ass cheeks fully exposed.
Feet thongs.
Oh, feet thongs. Sorry. Right. Well,
what country are you from?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story about Denmark. Right. But no, when you were talking about you don't have enough clothes on, they're coming in wearing a thong. No. It's like thongs, right? Okay. But like little hot pants and just come from the beach.
Yeah, just not enough. You're in an office environment. You need to be properly clothed.
Well, I'll tell you a story from 90s Denmark, which was funny. So Denmark, it's a funny place where they're very liberal, and then they're also very conservative. And where they're very liberal, like as I used to always say, like they'll have sex shops in the middle of town that are clearly sex shops, and kids would be going on like a school thing where they're in, double file marching down the street and all the rest of it, and they walk right past, a bondage shop with rubber johnnies in the window, and they don't even look. Like, it's just not a big deal, right? It's not interesting, not an issue, which certainly back then was seen as a very positive thing.
What year is this?
97, 98. Okay. 96, 97, 98. But anyway,
accustomed to it. Same as alcohol.
But anyway, I remember
different.
Yeah. So anyway, I remember going to work, and one of the guys there, his name escapes me. It'll come to me in a minute. But he was a Scot. No, he was an English. He was kind of a Scotophile. What would you say this? But he was English.
Okay.
Martin, that was his name. Martin. And I think his parents were Scottish or something. But anyway, he turned up to this meeting in a kilt because he knew Australians were coming, and decided that we're all
Commonwealth countries.
Yeah, or we would appreciate their struggle. I don't know, but anyway, he might just have thought just like, hey, I like to party. Here I'm wearing a dress at work. So he put this kilt on and all the rest of it. And I remember the head of the company sent him home to get changed because it was inappropriate. That's how conservative they were in the office. Now,
about dress.
Here's the twist. So Martin went home and got changed or something anyway, and I don't know if it was on the same day. It was definitely the same trip, so it would have been the same week. What was perfectly acceptable in 1997 in Copenhagen was they got the head. So the guy had sent him home, who died suddenly many years ago. I liked him. He was an interesting guy, smart guy, full professor. the head of... So the CFO, basically, it was his birthday. Paul was his name. I'll leave their full names out of it. Not that it matters.
Get on with
most
it.
of them are probably dead. Yes, I'll get onto it and tight. His birthday, they got him a stripper at work for his birthday.
In the office?
Jesus,
all right.
So this office building had like an inside-outside garden. So it was like a Japanese garden in the middle of the thing. So it was like, think a quadrangle, and it was built around this Japanese garden. So I can remember they, again, being Denmark, the Little Mermaid, they got this, they give him like a little toy fishing rod,
Jesus
and
Christ.
they bring a girl in a mermaid thing with the tits
women
out.
There?
Oh, probably. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I guess so, maybe. But this pretty young thing with the tits out, and
Great.
yeah, fine. And she sits on his knee, and he's and all the rest of it, and a whale of a time.
Fuck me, that's no.
It was the 90s, perfectly acceptable then. But yeah, it was funny.
Fine to go outside of the office, but not in the office.
Well, it was inside outside, but
no, I mean like take him to the strip joint.
Oh yeah, we probably took him. We probably
take him to the hookers.
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
probably took him, got laid that
yeah.
night. But yeah, so that was anyway. So
God, double
that
standards.
was the absolute double standard. So a bloke in a dress.
And do they do that for the women as well? Like, do they
I don't
get
know.
a male
I
stripper?
think they probably would. Yep,
That's fine then.
I think. I wouldn't. They were many things, but they weren't hypocrites. So
Okay.
I'd be very surprised if they were that kind of.
Yeah.
If Barbara in accounting really liked cock, they might
Maybe
get
she got one too.
She might have got one too, or like the Minge, get a twofer, get the same girl.
It's changed a bit now, anyway. Well, it was.
There was certainly no women in the C-suite. Like fuck no.
Oh God.
But
well, I think a lot of companies do this now as well. So we actually, within our team, we used to do individual birthdays, but they consolidated all the birthdays into
have
one
the horse's
day.
birthday for a week.
No, like they'd pick a day and have like multiple or a month, I think it was. Everyone's birthday this month, and they'd have like 10 cakes.
I hate all that shit. I think we used to do it at closest I got.
Wow, that's limey.
Yeah, the closest I got to that
I liked
was
it
at
because
university. Yeah, well, don't get between a public servant and a fucking piece of cake, Jesus. But I think the closest we got to that in the end.
Excuse me, sir. I am not a public servant. Go fuck
Was-
yourself.
I was technically for
good.
a while
I was gonna say,
when I was working at a university. I was paid by the state.
I did a brief stint, 6 months.
Oh, well, I did a brief stint of 6 months for the actual public service once, but I was always a contractor. Were you always a contractor, or did you actually get?
No, I was employed. I had a PS level or whatever the fuck it was.
Okay, I
did
never
6
had
months
that.
in federal government.
I probably had that at university, but didn't.
And the day I decided I'm done, I'm not, because they offered to renew my contract, and I went no. The day that I had to have a meeting about my meeting with different people, I went, yeah, I'm good, I'm done. This is why you're all seat moisteners and nothing gets done here. Goodbye.
Big organisation. Anyway, they definitely had. No, I didn't have that, but there was certainly the academic equivalent. There was level A, which was associate lecturers, level B, which was lecturer, level C, senior lecturer, level D, associate professor.
Well, it was like PS 1 through 11 or something, public service something or other. I don't know.
It's the same thing.
They were all very interested in it and very particular about I'm this level.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have a clue what the fuck you're talking about, and nor do I care to. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Yeah, I can't remember what the point of any of that was. Oh, cakes, and I think yes, birthdays. We'll come back to that, but the point just to finish was that I think at university in the end there was certainly some months where they had like a cake. It was like Tuesday morning or something, and everybody's birthday this week. But the birthday paradox was alive and well because there was many birthdays, all certainly within the same period of time. So it's like this 1 week, it's like we're going to have a cake every day.
Yeah, well, that's why they consolidated into a month, I think.
Not that there was
last
any
job that I
academics
had.
there, but anyway.
I think it was a month. Anywho.
Moving along. We probably should turn a light on. So watch your eyes, people watching.
No, leave it off. I like it off.
No, because you won't see anything.
That's probably a good thing.
Probably. Bang, lights on again. The other thing, we enjoyed watching Keating
Oh, yes, last night. That was good. He made me
interesting.
giggle. He's still got it. He's a little bit... He's older, obviously, a little arthritic. His fingers were very long and pointy.
The arthritis in his fingers was terrible, but I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in his view on things, and generally agree with his politics on foreign policy. I mean, China certainly isn't. You know, they don't want to sit around and sing Kumbaya with everybody. But by the same token,
they're not aggressive.
They're not interested. Like, where's the point? Like he brought it up. It's like, what's the point of them coming in? So we're trading partners, and it's absolutely in their interest to be our trading partner, and we do all the work, and we're good at it.
Yeah.
And we get all the steel, and we send it over to them, and it's at a fair price, and everybody's happy.
Why do you want to fuck it up?
Why would you fuck it up? Yeah. And, like, what are they going to do? Could you imagine the amount of effort required to occupy Sydney and Melbourne? Like,
not to mention all of the other countries in between that they sail past in this imaginary
Indonesia would be involved.
Yeah, I was going to say. Like,
and that's why he had the deal with Indonesia, because they go, oh, there's 300 million Muslims out there. It's like, yeah, well, that's why we should do a fucking deal with them.
And that's why you should keep them on side. And
they did.
And have chats and have diplomacy and trade and all the shit that we're already doing.
Yeah,
but
all those things.
Not really well. But I very much enjoyed him ripping you assholes for those, half of the people that ask questions.
They all...
So dumb.
There was one or two of the reporters they trotted out. So Tingle's fine, you know, everybody knows she's pretty much the gold standard of journalists in Australia at the moment.
My gender was let down by all of them except one.
Oh no, Laura Tingle's...
Oh no, Laura Tingle and the other girl, Maeve someone, shouldn't say girl, woman, Maeve someone or other, the dark-haired chick asked a reasonable question. There
was only one or two reasonable questions from the gallery. The rest of it was just... like... those stupid women that just brought knives to a gunfight, like, oh, let me try and ask you a gotcha question. And he's like, you're an idiot.
The Sky News chick, yeah.
And then like that other son of a bitch from The Age, like where he didn't like him. I was surprised Peter Harcher didn't turn up. But yeah, it's just refreshing seeing someone that's got nothing to lose, that really knows what he's talking about, and doesn't suffer fools, and just says... And to be and where they've been put in a place where they're just going, no, that's a stupid idea, and you're that's I'm not dignifying that with a response. You're an idiot. Next.
Yeah.
But the fact that what were they thinking to ask him those kind of questions?
Like, well, I'm assuming it was if you'd like to ask a question, put your name down. Like they didn't.
Yeah, but
so
did they do no homework?
No.
None whatsoever, because that's all it looked like.
They've put their hand up to get up, and they've asked a stupid question.
Like, just you can get on YouTube
in the press club
in 9 minutes and look up the best of Keating and just watch him rip people new assholes constantly for a zillion years.
I don't know whether it's stupidity
and it's all natural
or arrogance from the people who are asking the questions.
I think a bit of both.
So.
Like Keating basically finished year 10 and that was it. I don't know if he did year 12 or not, but he certainly doesn't have a degree. Like, this is all natural ability.
Wow.
Like, in terms of, like, I haven't always agreed with all of his policies and politics, but the China one he's right about. And when you go to China, not that it's been a very long time since I've been, and I haven't been there for very long, but it is absolutely a case, and especially when you speak to them all, they're all fucking capitalists. They all all they want to do is have a good life, like everybody else.
Duh.
But they're more capitalist.
They've got the biggest economy in the world now. It's not by accident.
And they're trying to get everybody out of the doldrums. Are they doing everything right? And yes, you can bitch and whinge, like as he said on there. You can, which he was trying to make the point. Everyone has domestic issues, and using that as an excuse, like I saw some people on Twitter, they're having a go at me. It's just like, oh, what about Tibet? And it's like, Tibet's fucking Tasmania. It's the same sort of thing. Like, it's been, and people argue, you say, like, oh, it's because, like, Tibet's been controlled by the Chinese for 400 years.
Yeah.
Like, but then they'll go, oh, but that was the Manchu, not the Chinese. It's like, like, it's not that big a deal. And it's like, oh, Hong Kong, they ruined Hong Kong. It's like, bullshit.
Hong Kong's fine.
They leased out Hong Kong 100 years ago, and now, and that was 25 years ago now, and then the tenant ran out,
already?
And it was 97, 98, Jesus. back then. And it's like, the lease ran out, and they asked the tenant to leave. That's all there is to it. And then you can talk about Taiwan, and
Hong Kong's fine though. Well,
It's like everything in
different
China
now, but Hong Kong's still there.
China is run by gangsters basically, and there's a whole heap of problems at the top level and a whole heap of problems at the bottom, but the middle, But their foreign policy is really straightforward. We want to trade.
Yeah.
We want to trade and we want to do business.
Yeah.
And there's a few things that piss us off, and
and treating us like a child is one of them.
Yeah, and it's pretty
is interesting.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward
which
on
I
how
think is what Keating was also trying to get to, that the Americans trying to be what's the word I'm looking for? Daddy with a big stick, saying no, you can't do that. But that was
the point that was also lost on all those stupid morons that were asking him questions as well, where they can't hold two thoughts in their mind at the same time. Where here's the thing, not in the case with China, but like look at the US, which he didn't put it as simply as this, but it's like we're strategic allies and we're military allies and we're cultural allies, but we're trade enemies.
They fuck us over every single chance they get.
And that's with a whole bunch of people. We were trade enemies with the UK and all the rest of it. Like there's all these different things where they're all trying to sell their own wares, and they'll
depends on the issue. Depends on the policy.
Walk over you to get a deal done, and they can't see it. And that's where you see things like China. It's like, yeah, they want to do a deal, so do a deal. That's the only bit of Trumpian politics that I don't mind.
Do a deal.
Yeah, it's like everybody knows I do the best deals. I'm going to go in there. I'll do a deal. It'll be over by Tuesday.
He does do deals.
He got some deals done.
He does.
So there was they were good deals.
I don't know if they're any good, but he does.
I don't know how much vig he's taken out of the side.
I don't know.
But anyway, so it was good to see. It was good to see Keating again doing that, and it was just amazing looking at someone whose heyday was like 30 years ago, coming and playing with the modern kids, and it was really good how the modern because the only one that sort of got a I've forgotten his name, but he's the dickbag from The Age. That we used to just go, oh, thank you, and I'll do very well, and blah 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 blah, and I thank you for the interest for this. Yeah, and he was kind of the only one to get almost a writer reply. With the rest of them, he just said, "That's a stupid question. You're an idiot." Next,
and they answered some of the questions that were relevant.
And they did shuffle them off.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like
except for that idiot woman as well who asked a question about super, and then she stood there, even though Laura Tingle announced the next person because she said, "Oh, I've got a backup question." Because when Keating said, "I'm not talking about super today,"
it was about AUKUS. That was
And then she asked I think a dumb question again. But
they didn't help themselves.
On a
no.
completely unrelated note, apart from Phil Curry, who was the first one, and then the second man, which I can never remember his name. He's from WA. He was on Insiders. Probably still is. So I recognise both of those two.
Curry's questions didn't a lot to me. The other one, he's fairly reasonable, I think.
Everyone else was really slovenly.
Well, my point, which is quite controversial, and I'll choose my words carefully because a whole heap of words you don't like that I tend to use, with the exception of the first two, the rest of the men were all mincy, nancy, girly men. Another word I usually use starts with an F.
I know.
Ends in agate.
Yes. Doesn't not.
But it's like
these days different terminology.
Yes. I'm talking about bundles of sticks.
Anywho, there was no
pork treats from England.
Fuck, whatever. Courage of your convictions. There was no strong.
You were coming.
There was no strong men.
There was no men.
The first two were fine.
Yeah, well, they were older men, but the rest of them, they weren't like.
The one with the weird hair was asked an appropriate question, and he actually asked a question. Yeah,
but still, everything was delivered with a lisp and a limp wrist. Weird. Just strange. It just shows you how Woodward and Bernstein.
Where's
they were
my
not.
lumbersexual?
Yeah, where's
a bloke? Well, it's not a trade anymore.
It's not a trade anymore. But there's still good. There's still blokes in it. George Megalogenis, I reckon, is one of the best journalists in Australia. Perfectly centrist, that guy. He must rise out of his bed in the middle every morning. He does not get out on the left. He just I see him as the The women, but I think women are doing better in journalism in Australia at the moment. So Laura Tingle's clearly the ranking queen of Australian journalism at the moment, where everybody wants, like, can we just have every show on ABC ran by Laura Tingle, please? I
like her.
We should get Sam Neill to shag a few of the other ones, and is that the magic? Is that the special sauce?
You're not shagging anymore.
Oh, so sad. But who's the other one? The one I think of her as Angela Merkel. That Sarah Ferguson.
Yes,
she's
and both her and Laura Tingle.
She's a barrister. She just pulls people apart.
I like the fact that they're not. This is weird because I like the fact they're almost robotic, the two of them.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, we're trying to get. I've got to.
Don't giggle.
No.
Like, for fuck's sake.
No. I'm not your friend. I'm here to ask you some questions.
Yeah. Let's ask some intelligent.
No, you didn't answer my question.
Yes, answer the question.
Yeah, do some homework.
Yeah.
Ask some questions.
Yeah, let's
have somewhere. I want to. Don't have an ulterior motive. Have I want to find out about this.
Yes.
And then do everything you can to methodically get closer to the thing that you're trying to find out about.
Yeah. Journalism.
Journalism. And we're not friends. The ones that all want to be, because that's the other difference about it too. Like, you could see a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them, even the ones I was criticising them in terms of being a bit mincy and all the rest of it.
Buddy ass kisses.
They want to be a part of the story.
Yeah, I'm like,
and not all of them. I don't think all of them were, but a lot of them nowadays.
You're there to report the news.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you would have done a much better thing asking him an interesting question to find out more something about this. But you would have
had to think about it and then come up with a question.
You would have had to do some work.
Yeah. So anyway. But no, it was nice to see him.
But anyone thinks, it's unbelievable to think that you're just going to wander in.
He's the Prime Minister of Australia, for fuck's sake.
He was the Treasurer since 1983.
Yeah.
And he was the Prime Minister for 5 years.
His intellectual ability and his quips at people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's great.
oh no, I'm going to be mauled by a dead sheep. I'm going to be flogged with a limp lettuce leaf. And look at him, Mr. Speaker. He's like a shiver looking for a spine to run up, And this is all. Yeah, I use that one a lot.
Anyway.
That's all the.
So that was last night. That's what we do in bed.
Yes. It's no fucking just watching
Prime Ministers.
So
the press gallery.
There was that thing where you're talking way back about, what did you say, the Lineker? I didn't even know who that guy was.
Gary Lineker.
Yeah, he's like a sports reporter.
Was a football player for England.
Yeah, so he's a commentator. A sports commentator.
Yes.
Like a colour commentator or something. But yeah, those BBC negotiations in full. So let's just make sure we finish our
Oh God,
points.
sorry, I've got to turn that off.
Delete the tweets. No. Okay, we'll apologise for them. No. We'll get someone else to do your job if you don't. Everyone downs tools. We'll at least promise you won't tweet political stuff in the future. No. Okay, we have a deal.
So he just kept saying no.
Yeah, he just said no. No.
He's Gary fucking Lineker.
I don't know who this guy is. You seem much more excited about him than I am.
I lived in England for a couple of years.
So he was a big deal back then, was he?
Yeah, English football captain.
Right, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So my soccer knowledge begins and ends around with Maradona. So he was, and David Beckham. So he was Beckham back in the day, but obviously not.
Everyone knows who Gary Lineker is.
Not just selling Pepsi.
He's 62.
Right.
Yeah, English former professional footballer. Blah blah blah. But I'm pretty sure he was played for England, if not the captain.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's been on TV for years as well.
Right, okay.
Because again, he's 62, so as soon as he finished his football career, he's got a brain in his skull, and he's a good commentator, and he's a good presenter.
Yeah. So let's go to there. Yeah, I don't know.
So if you mention the name Gary Lineker to any English person, they'll know who he is. But yeah, so no wonder he goes, nah. No, fuck you, I'm Gary fucking Lineker.
I'm bigger than the BBC up here. No, I don't know anything about it.
Well, he's not, but he can get a job tomorrow somewhere else.
Yeah. So. And to say nothing of, I'll say whatever I like and.
But yes, good on him,
off.
because no. And he didn't say anything. I don't see a problem. Yeah, with what he said. He was criticising the government and their refugee policies.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to?
Well, it's just like...
It's your opinion?
Oh, well, it's everything with the BBC, which, again, has to go back. It's like, we must give equal we must give balanced opinion to both sides, even if the other side is utterly, completely and independently, demonstrably
Everyone
wrong.
has a doodad that they can talk to the world. Like,
every time you put that near that, you're introducing interference.
Time to end.
Yeah, nearly. So clearly I'm beyond it. The only other thing that was this week that was worth talking about was...
Today or this week?
Oh, the last couple of days. The impending financial crash.
What's happening with Credit Suisse?
No, I think their stock's down 25% or more.
What was the problem? You didn't tell me.
Oh, they just ran out of money.
Oh God. Okay, cool.
And so that and their credit default swap stats went through the roof. So that's like basically, you know what they are, don't you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for those listening who don't, almost like the equivalent of going, I need to cash insurance on bad loans. Yeah. Pretty much. And that went, it was like normally bubbling along here, and it went whee right up to here. So
what have they been doing to get to that point?
This is
bad
just
decisions,
bad debt. How much? Again, was it directly related to the Silicon Valley Bank?
Maybe there was two banks too. I didn't realise there wasn't just Silicon; it was New York something or other as well.
But I read another thing today where they were talking about it, that in both cases, both the banks were doing stupid things and didn't have oversight for the stupid things that they do.
Wow.
So they didn't have risk officers or anything like that. So it was all a bit of a...
Hell. Yeah, God, loose ships in the States in terms of calling yourself a fucking bank.
Well, they removed all the regulation.
Jesus.
Because remember...
There's so much here.
Because remember, the old thing was... what caused the GFC before is that, you're either a bank or you're an investment bank, and they were two very different things. And I'm doing this for the benefit of those watching, not you, obviously, because... I'm
going to see if you get it right.
Charlie worked in finance for 300 years. Yes, and there's rules about how much money you have. Obviously, the banker's algorithm, how much money you have to have on hand to be able to meet your debt obligations. If everyone
cashed in all their shit tomorrow, you have to be able.
And you don't have to keep all of it, but you have to have a certain
you have access
percentage.
To it.
Yeah, in Australia that's APRA, as I understand it. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Look at the brain on Brad. But yes, there's also rules about whether or not you're a bank where you guarantee your deposits, or whether
they had the government guarantee for ages.
Yeah, and they still do here. They still do there too for $250,000. But they didn't have it.
I think that's gone now.
But anyway, the issue was...
So they don't have any of that, so clearly they're just loosely running around doing whatever the fuck they want.
For the benefit of the listeners, the big difference between the two kinds of banks is that the bank over here that takes deposits isn't allowed to go and gamble with your money completely and utterly, where this kind of bank, an investment bank, absolutely can.
Yeah.
And that's the difference why there's more risk, and because of more risk you will get more return. So I don't know if these... Well, traditionally there was always a very separation between that, but every couple of decades they remove those things. Everyone makes a pile of money for about 5 to 10 years, and then we have a financial meltdown, and then everyone goes, you know what, we should probably not do that. Yeah. And then that goes on for 15 years or so before they go, you know what, we should have more all this regulation is getting in the way, and you know what we should do, we should wind that back. And then everyone makes a pile of money, and then you have another meltdown. So we're obviously at that again. But this one, it'll be interesting to see how much they bail out. And they did draw a line in the sand a bit, but there's certainly less. I think there's certainly less appetite for let's bail all of these out.
It's interesting. Is this the beginning of the bubbling up of?
Well, it has to be. Well, what it's the beginning of is that, speaking from where I have more experience than you, is all these tech firms that only made sense when money was free, and money ain't free anymore.
Yeah.
So and all these banks running these where they just need to do, where they were doing round after round of funding. So what most
to go into their own pockets.
Yeah, certainly to go into keeping the lights on, to go into just operating revenue.
You never used to be allowed to do that.
So you're definitely not allowed to do that as a private company that's getting very close to trading while insolvent. As a public company, it's definitely a lot more lax with what you can do there, because your reporting costs your reporting not costs, but well that too, but your reporting obligations are so much higher that they can run a bit more fast and loose with that. Some companies we know that shall remain completely nameless. Well, they don't even say that. There's plenty of companies on the ASX even where you can look at them where they just do public offer after public offer after public offer after public
Nothing
offer.
comes of it.
And their expenses continue to go up.
Yes,
their revenue.
Their job is making public offerings.
Yeah, and you continue to have your stock diluted and diluted and diluted and diluted. And at some point it's like, which is fine, it's how it's meant to work. You might have 2 or 3 rounds, but after that you're supposed to go, right, now we're starting to turn a profit, we're starting to wash our own face, and
or not, or quit.
Or it's like, didn't work, whoops,
Next.
You've done your dough.
But there's a few weird things going on at the moment.
But
so
while money was nearly free, that allowed them to do that.
A bit weird as well. So there's a few.
Yeah, well, they're talking about that.
Talk about the price hikes here in Australia, about power, and I just don't understand how the normal person on the street doesn't realise that.
We don't understand how anyone still has enough money to do anything.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
that.
Well, that too. Because they're not going to. They reckon they're coming in as of next month. 30% increase in power potentially. I'm like, fuck, all right, lucky we're off grid. No, I'm talking about how the normal person on the street doesn't realise that Australia exports most of their gas.
We're an energy-rich nation.
That's what I mean. I don't understand
Energy
why
here
you
should
aren't
be
all
free.
Yelling at your local members and federal members and state members saying, stop it.
Because we don't do any political bullshit. We'll do it for... We'll all go and have a march about women's rights or gay rights or...
But it comes to power, like having
to
actually do some homework
the
and
40 spotted
understand
pardalote.
What's going on in your economy.
But what we don't really... Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe plenty of people can, but I can't think of any wide-scale protests in Australia, certainly within my adult lifetime, about something that really does affect you and really does affect everybody. Like, we just seem to lump it.
What was the one that we copied off America, where they were all in Martin Place? The
Black Lives Matter.
No, the down with the rich type thing.
Oh,
the sit-in.
Yeah.
What
was that one? With all the fucking, to fucking clap and all this other fucking... That was way at the beginning of...
Yeah, that was a while ago, but that's when they were talking about all the corporate...
It's something protest. Oh, God, how can I not forget that? Why are we tired?
But they were there for months.
Yeah.
Months and months. And they were protesting the financial
but I'm not talking... Yeah, that was...
institutions.
That was 200 confused undergraduates.
No, it wasn't.
Was it more than that?
It was more than that. It whittled down, but it wasn't just undergraduates. It was fucking everyone. Old women, old men.
It wasn't a 5,000 person... It wasn't a 5 million people march across the... That's what I'm talking about.
No.
Like...
But that was one. But anyway. They don't... Nobody... Yeah.
I can't believe we can't remember the name of that.
No.
People are screaming at the YouTube right now. But there's been so many of them since. That was one of the original ones.
Yes.
Wall Street, wasn't it?
Yeah, Wall Street something.
Yeah, that's where it started anyway.
Yes.
Occupy Wall Street.
That's it.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
I knew it had Wall Street in it.
Yes, anyway, but that's the thing. Like, I remember there's definitely been... The only one I can think of, really, there was definitely big marches against Jeff Kennett in Victoria yonks ago, where they said, there's 1 million people marching. And it's like, well, that means there's 4 million that aren't, But so we've definitely had fairly decent sized protests against politicians for those sorts of things. We don't like their policies, especially over like union busting and stuff like that, which is all well and good. But as far as something that actually
food
genuinely,
prices. Power prices,
where you
housing.
You go to France or something. I always joked about, you see people tear... Because I've done this. I've been in France and saw... Literally, there were people tearing the streets up. They were all wearing white coats, so they were all quacks. And they were protesting. They were setting shit on fire and turning cars over and all this sort of thing. And it's like, and I'm going... so right at the edge of the mob, I went up and asked and said, So what's all this about? Oh, they're changing, like it was something, there's an administrative change to a rule that, like, this woman was talking to me for a while, and it wasn't like, it
was something little.
It was tiny. It was some...
But it obviously affected them somehow.
Yeah, I know, but the point was that some small administrative change to one particular thing, and they're out there burning the place to the fucking... they're storming the Bastille and they're burning the place to the ground. Where in Australia it's just like, we're going to privatise all these natural monopolies that are profitable, very, very profitable. We're going to sell them for 5 or 10 cents on the dollar, and then you're going to get repeatedly fucked in the ass until the sun's supernovas.
Cool. They were yours.
Yeah, they're not yours anymore.
They're not. Yeah. They're ours now.
Yeah, so we're going to sell.
I might have an interest in that too, but we'll just leave that.
Yeah, I'm going to sell Telstra, and then which you own, and allow you to buy it again.
Yeah.
And then
the copper back
and then
in
we're
about 30 years time.
Oh, then it wasn't even that. About 15 years later, we're going to buy the rickety shitty bit back
and pretend that it's internet.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable. And as I say,
GIO, we need that again.
Australia is a nation of scared accountants, and that's all they have to do. So if you want to, certainly with insurance, get GIO going again.
Yep.
And have a national, and have it compete, have the national insurer compete with all the other ones. Because my view always is, as I rant at you, but the point I do want to make with that is that just like these idiots that don't understand that, asking Keating a gotcha question is just going to get you told to get fucked, is that people don't understand, public services are inefficient. And it's like, yes, they can be inefficient. There's overhead of people that have been there for a million years, and there's all these inefficiencies they brought in because it doesn't have a profit motive, right? And because people aren't getting huge payouts and things like this. I'm talking traditionally, right? But then when you sell it off, then all of a sudden the utility or whatever it is has shareholders that they need to produce a profit for. But from the receiver of the service, the profit part of the private company, that's an inefficiency. So now all of a sudden, instead of there maybe being...
Because it doesn't come to you, it goes to them.
Yeah, so where there might be, let's say for argument's sake, a 20% of inefficiency because it's run by the, think it's 1920s style full employment public service running the trains or something, right? Yeah. And they go, right, there's a 20% inefficiency here because people have got jobs for life. They don't give a fuck. They're going to, for the first 10 years, they're going to make this much. Then the next 10 years, they're going to make that much. Like, it's pretty easy going. There's no vim and vigour, get up and go. If you really work hard, you're not going to get any more than anyone who doesn't, right? That's inefficient. But then you sell it off, and then you've got the same, we need to find 20% each year to give to our fucking shareholders. Well, that's an inefficiency as well, in terms of what you end up paying for it. Because you're paying their shareholders.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know you know, but...
But I disagree with the first part of your ramblings.
Oh, yeah?
That...
Do tell.
You just need to employ people who know how to get things running, and even though there's not a profit motive, there should still be a motive to make it run effectively and efficiently and hire the people who know how to get shit done. You still have all these KPIs which you aren't meeting.
That's right.
Why aren't you meeting them?
Yes.
Fuck off then, because they're all paid really well too.
Because that's the difference between now...
And they will just leave them there. They're not meeting any of their standards, but they just go, oh well...
So when I first started work full-time in the mid-90s...
And, sorry, just one more thing. And the price keeps going up and up and up for normal people. And they just go,
because you've always got to... Because you've got to produce more. You can't have the same return 2 years in a row.
No, I'm talking about public service.
Well, back in the day it really didn't. It didn't go up as much as that. It's still...
Both, but yeah.
But what I was going to say about back in the mid-90s, where there was definitely two... Because back then, and you'll remember this... You're just as old as me, even though you don't want to admit it.
Don't look it.
That you either went into private service or private industry or went into public service. And back then, public service, it was always a case of losers. The money's not as good, but
it's seat moistening.
But you never got fired.
Yeah.
Like it was
no hard.
There was no hard
at all.
And that definitely changed. definitely changed in the 2000s, and then where they became competitive for other things. And you're quite right. That's all it was. You just need a different way to measure it. How efficiently is this service being produced? How much money? But they can still. That's where the public-private.
Keep going. Yep.
I was just say that's where the public-private partnership thing works out. You can still have a shareholder, but the shareholder is the government. And
it's just run by different people.
But you've just got to make sure it's reasonable. And they always didn't like that because then they're beholden to the electorate for it. It's complicated.
But shouldn't you want to do that? Shouldn't you want to be effective and efficient?
These things go in cycles. Everything gets privatised.
Yeah,
it's going to be nationalised.
Same as a marketing department. Don't get me started. But anyway, stop ranting. But it's just shit. It's all shit, and they need to fire everyone and start again.
Well, no, they just need to find out. They need to genuinely, not with outside, let's get PricewaterhouseCoopers in, but they need to for a lot of these things, you need to genuinely look at where are the problems, sort them out, stop pissing about. Because if you go to any big organisation, there's always
dramas. Yeah,
there's always dramas and all the rest of it, but you could certainly go down to the lower echelons or the middle and the high, but any part of it and just sort of say, what's going wrong? And ask anyone, and they'll tell you. Oh,
no.
You don't think so?
No.
Am I old-fashioned?
Yeah. Well, again, specifically about federal government, my 6 months there, no, they'd circle the wagons. They're all too scared of losing their job because they're getting paid to do nothing.
It's a harder thing, but anyway,
so
I'm talking about
some kind of external. Something.
I think the difference. I agree with you, and I think the difference is what I'm talking about is something more like a natural monopoly, like insurance,
right?
Like,
gas,
like the gas board.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what started this all off. I said I was reading. You're
talking about you being in the tax office, completely. That's a different kettle of fish.
I was not in the tax office. Austrade.
That's even worse.
But don't get me started. So I just don't understand how normals, as I call them. What do they call them in the Harry Potter books? Not that I've ever read them.
Muggles.
I was going to say, there's a word for them, muggles. I don't understand how they just cop it. And where's all the money coming? How are they going to pay for things? They're not. We're going to have to start opening, like in the UK during winter. Have you seen them warm rooms? Where they turn the heaters on in the library, and all the poor people who can't afford their housing heat.
We have malls.
Do they have heating in super? Do they?
Yeah. Well, it's Australia.
I know you go to the cinemas in summer because it's air conditioned,
and malls because it's air conditioned. But I reckon malls here would be the
heated place.
Thing. That being said, Australia doesn't get, well, not in all of it, but it doesn't get that cold.
No.
It does in, if you live here, or if you live in, we'll finish this up in a couple of minutes. But if you live here or Barrel or up bloody Mount Kosciuszko or something, it gets cold. But generally it's pretty thin. But when it gets fucking hot.
But just the fact that the UK is now providing warm rooms for people who can't afford to heat their own houses, how ridiculous is that? Yeah,
we'd need to see. Yeah, I don't know. But that's certainly been reported. But just time and time again, you look at the calibre of the people reporting this stuff, and you just go, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised all those reporters last night just sort of get up and say, Fred Bloggs from the Daily Shit Rag, him, just completely out of touch, completely wrong.
Some of them should have literally stood up and said, name, where I'm from, just standing here to get my face on TV. Hi, how you going, Mr. Keating? That's it, and then sat back down.
Yeah. I think you're shit. And the hilarity of it is
just trying to ride your coattails, Mr. Keating, because I know this is going to go around all of the channels tomorrow, so I'd like to have my name on it too. Thanks very much.
It's all opinion, and that's the other problem too. Now, all the newspapers,
there are a lot of opinions.
all of their actual in-house journalists. I don't think anyone. Are they just relying on the AAP for today 42 people exploded in a regional thing, like the actual factual based stuff, and the rest of
Al
it, all
Jazeera does that now.
Yeah, all the rest of it's all opinion. It's just all opinion.
Al Jazeera used to be the fringe. Now they're the.
But they are doing a new. Somebody was doing a new CNN.
Oh, really?
Was it CNN? Like, there's definitely a new one just going, we've got to get rid of all the bullshit and just get back to...
CNN was what I used to turn on in any hotel I was internationally and just have it playing on its loop.
I think I might be talking out of my ass, but it might be someone like one of the big ones like CNN or CBS or something where we just say, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Oh, good.
No, we're going back to...
Like SBS style, but without the foreign languages.
Well, without the... What's the other thing? Going back to our previous podcast, without the weather being...
Oh, I wasn't talking about that. I was literally talking about the different language streams.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's it. Somehow we've managed to rattle on for an hour without rattling on.
Seriously?
It requires... We have to be more... I'm hoping... We welcome all our new subscribers. We've got like 55 subscribers now. Most of them are bots.
Why? We're boring.
Oh, we're terrible. But something interesting will happen. I'll find something else that annoys me, and I'll go and look up a whole heap of ABS statistics to.
If you'd like us to ramble on about something specific, send us an email.
Yeah. If you'd like some advice
or comment. Oh God, not advice. You don't.
Oh yeah, I really want to do agony aunts.
You do not want advice.
I've been listening to too much Starvy's World, where they do have people call in.
Wow.
And I'm a huge fan of it.
Nope.
Anyway, on that note, off you go, my children. Watch out for wolves. We'll see you in a day or two.
Maybe.
Bye.
Bye.
We will. Goodbye.